So Skip Wiley is one of my dearest friends in the entire world. In fact, when Dave and I got married, he was my first choice of who I wanted to walk me down the aisle because my father crossed over many years ago. And Skip has been that close and that dear of a friend to me. He's one of the most important people in my life. When I moved to Florida, Skip was actually my real estate agent. And Skip, you had very vulnerably mentioned a topic that you'd like to hear discussed. Do you mind kind of touching on that from what you said on last Monday?
As you know, I've been in the real estate business almost 40 years, and I still love the business, but fear for me never goes away. I dropped out of the business for a couple of years, and stepping back into the business and doing the things that were very easy never easy, but I knew I had to do them in my 30s and 40s, and stepping back into the business again and picking up the phone and calling strangers. I don't care. And I'm good. I know I'm really good on the phone and highly effective. But that telephone weighs 50 pounds every time I want to start creating business again. And for me, I know the magic formula for me to do one closing a month is reach out to 50 people. Every 50 people I speak to, I don't care what I talk to them about, somebody is going to say yes. Maybe not yes tomorrow, but yes in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, and helping all of us with how you manage to build this hugely successful business on for sale by owners, and how you struggle probably with the phone would be really helpful for everybody on this call.
Well, first of all, Skip, I hope everybody realized Skip's numbers. So Skip, you've been in real estate for how many years?
40.
40. So how many of you guys would agree that that would qualify Skip as an expert, right? Okay, so let's do some math. He says he needs to talk to 50 people about something to do a sale. Now, Skip, you think most of those conversations are 10 minutes, 15 minutes? What would you guess if you had to throw out a number out?
The average conversation for me when I was working and highly successful was about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so 50 times 4, that's 200 minutes divided by 60. That means that Skip needs to make about 3.5 hours worth of calls for one sale.
Correct.
Okay, so for you novices, I think my numbers are pretty clear. You need to be making 15 hours a week of phone calls to have any level of success. If you're an expert, you need to be having about 3.5 hours of calls. And if you do that, if you have 3.5 hours worth of calls for Skip's number, he's going to close about one home a month. One home, yeah, about 1.5 homes a month, something like that. You got to talk to more people. But Skip and I are both very blessed that we've done some great Tony Robbins work together. Skip and I are both firewalkers, right? Yep. Yeah, we saw Tony Robbins live together, did the firewalk together in beautiful Miami. So I'm going to defer to my greatest mentor, and that is Mr. Tony Robbins. So I want to play this video that I think is going to shed a little bit of light on this.
So anyway, Christian and I, over the years, have done a lot of fun things together. And this, about 2 years ago, we were having a conversation, and he said, you teach the secret to life is peak state versus lousy state, or being energy rich versus energy poor, that a relationship, you can love somebody, but if the energy's low, it's not going to show up. The energy's high. Well, he said, what if you swap those words and you swap peak state for beautiful state? I said, that works. A high energy state is a beautiful state. Any state where your high energy would be like love or joy or gratitude or drive or courage or faith or, playfulness or fun, any of those things are beautiful states. So he goes, yeah, I agree. And I said, and then suffering states would be low energy states. So that would be frustration, sadness, anger, resentment, loneliness, boredom, whatever. He goes, yeah, that's exactly right. So I can swap those. He goes, if you swap them, there's something cool that you might see or do. I said, what's that, Christian? And he said, well, I have made a decision that I'm going to live my life where I'm going to live in a beautiful state every day, no matter what, even if it rains on my parade, even if people do things that are unjust. And he said, the reason is because in a beautiful state, just like you teach a peak state, everything flows. And I said, well, that's pretty much what I've been teaching. He goes, yes, but if you think of the lousy states as suffering states, he said, then you can end suffering just by ending the state. But I realized I didn't relate to suffering. Like if you had told me 2 years ago, Tony, do you suffer? I'd say, are you kidding me? I got the greatest life. I have the most incredible wife and 4 kids, and I got 31 companies, and I'm financially free, and I have a mission I love, and I'm in good health. And that would all be honest. I wouldn't have been dishonest about it. But what really helped me out of that conversation, I left there and I went, well, where do I suffer? And I realized frustration is suffering. I get frustrated. I get concerned. I get pissed off. I get, worried sometimes. I get these feelings. And so what I decided to do was, just really create a 90-second rule for myself where I would end suffering as it arises. Because anybody tells you you're going to end suffering is full of crap. The reason is your brain is a 2-million-year-old brain. It's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you survive. But there's no saber-toothed tiger for you to react to anymore. So now we worry about what are people thinking of us? Do I have enough money? Over the last 2 years, what I've done is play this little 90-second rule. And if I feel tension in me, I go, okay, that's suffering. Where's it coming from? What am I stressed about? What am I concerned about? And what I immediately do is I realize the stressful thoughts. Since I've seen Christian G, I kind of traded one thing. What I really do now is I dig in and I notice that the only time you have stress or suffer is when you believe a stressful thought.
To go back to what it is that you're mentioning, Skip, the fear. That I think we can all agree is a suffering state, right?
Absolutely.
And the only thing when you read the book, Man's Search for Meaning, Skip, I'm sure you probably read that back in the 70s or 80s, right?
Twice.
Yes, I'm sure. Viktor Frankl, right? One of the most important books ever written. Viktor Frankl he was a psychiatrist and survived the horrors of the concentration camp. And the way that he survived it, in fact, when he exited the concentration camp, the people that were helping with the processing of the folks that were in the concentration camps actually thought he was one of the guards because he was the only one in the camp that looked physically healthy. And so they talked to him about what it was, and he said, well, when I was experiencing the horrors of the concentration camp, instead of feeling the feelings, I imagined myself standing on stage, sharing with the world about what had happened and making sure that it never happened again. And he's actually the one that coined the term never again. So what he did is he took that, the ultimate suffering state by all human accounts, right? I don't think any of us can imagine many things worse than being in a concentration camp. And he turned that into a beautiful state. He saw meaning and purpose in that. So Skip, I want to go back to the slide that I started with. The number one predictor of long-term financial success is the zip code you're born in. And the more years you spend in a better zip code, the better your life is and the better your family's life is. Skip, do you, in your experience, as somebody that just recently moved to not only a new zip code, but a new city, do you think that the place you live contributes to your overall happiness?
It contributes to everything. I live in zip code 32533, one of the very best zip codes in a new city that I moved to 18 months ago. And the zip code for me provides my family with total safety, security. It gives me a mindset that is every day as I walk out of my house and I experience that zip code, which is safety, security, pride of ownership. It does everything for me. I am proud to live where I live, and that is reflected in the way that I work.
So Skip, we've heard over and over again that the 3 basic needs that everybody needs, food, water, shelter. Would you agree that as a real estate agent, you're providing one of those 3 basic needs?
Absolutely, without question.
So I think once you understand that the fact that you're fearful just means that you're not a cyborg, right? And that you're not a total narcissist. when you understand that those fears are just part of the human condition, just like hunger and thirst, and that fact that we crave comfort and that we crave love, the fear is completely understandable. But how you label the fear is very different.